This podcast is part of the Pull Up a Chair podcast network. Let's build community through connection, conversation, and collaboration. This podcast is sponsored by Lever Consulting, editing with a purpose. Check them out at leverconsulting.com for a free consultation.
Hey, I'm Ryan.
And I'm V.
And you're listening to Cringe With Me, the podcast where we dig up the cringiest articles, questions, and tidbits of human culture to review with you, our listeners, so you too can cringe with me.
I'm hypocritical, but at least I know we could be beautiful or maybe terrible.
Alright, guys, we are back. Today, we are looking at another Dear Abby post.
Ooh, Dear Abby, those are always fun.
Yes, and it's a doozy. So, the title of this one is Chance Meeting at a Restaurant Has a Woman Rethinking Her Engagement.
Wow, okay. That sets a certain tone. I'm really actually curious if this is going to follow through on that tone.
Okay, well, what is your, knee-jerk reaction to that title?
My knee-jerk reaction is this woman is engaged and met somebody and realized that maybe she's not happy in her relationship and doesn't want to get married.
Oh, okay. So, Dear Abby, my fiance and I were having dinner at a nice restaurant when a woman came up to him. It turned out she was a former girlfriend of his. Oh, your face.
Okay, this definitely already took a turn that I did not expect.
When she looked at me questioningly, he introduced me as his friend. F-R-I-N-D. Friend.
I'm glad she spelled it for us.
Yes. I reintroduced myself as his fiance. She then looked back at him and said, congratulations. And then walked away. For the first time, I'm seriously considering not marrying this guy. What do you think? From a friend in Texas.
That's all? That was the whole thing?
That's all she wrote.
Wow. I mean, yeah, it's sketch, right?
That's so sketch.
If this is your fiance, you don't introduce them as your friend. That is pretty sketch. This almost gives me the vibes that this person is having an affair with this other person and was trying to play it randomly, unexpectedly. It was like, ooh, okay, yeah, this is a not thing. Especially when she just walked away right away.
Okay, but why would she say oh, congratulations? Or excuse me, congratulations.
Right, exactly. I think she didn't know he was engaged. If this is the other woman and she doesn't know he's engaged, they just have
a casual thing.
Yeah, a casual thing. And she's like, wait, you're engaged. I think that would be I'm going to leave this situation.
Awkward. Okay, so he could have played this off. He could have been like, this is my dear so-and-so. And then later explained it away. It's like, oh yeah, it's my cousin. I love her. She's very dear to me. You're looking at me very questionably.
Yeah, I'm like, this is sketchy.
This is sketchy. So, it's already busted your expectations. Are you ready to hear, oh, there's more. Never mind, there's an update. This never happens. Do you want me to read?
I think we need the response first, though,
We need the response first. Okay.
Unless was the update sent before the response?
No, the response and then there's an
Okay,
update.
we need the response first.
All right. Dear Moore, what happened is definitely a red flag. And when you see red flags, you should run.
Man, if more people listen to that, it'll be a better place, I think.
Oh my god. Well, Abby always has the correct thing to do. And then the update from LP. Apparently, I'm one of 3 fiancés, Abby. How do I break this off?
Oh, man, I was right.
So, I'm like, okay, but she didn't explain if restaurant girl was another fiance, or how she found out there was other fiancés.
I have so many questions.
Right?
Starting with, you're cheating or whatever. 3 fiancés? 3 girlfriends. Okay, I can get that. 3 fiancés. You told all 3 of these people you were going to marry them? What?
Okay, so
you know that's not... There's no way that plays out for you.
I mean, if it was like in the 80s before like a lot of computer systems were linked together, he could take them to 3 different counties and marry them all.
I don't even think that would have worked in the 80s. That feels like a 50s style thing.
Well, see, in the 80s, they didn't send over records across counties.
Sure. But I'm just saying how you even maintain...
Well, maintaining them, yeah, no.
Like,
but I mean,
in the 50s, when you were like a travel businessman and you were gone for the time, there were people that actually had multiple families, right? Like, that was a thing. But I don't see how that's possible in this day and age. That's madness.
See, that's the thing. It's like, okay, is he having long engagements here? Is he having shorter engagements here? Is he, like, doing legally binding marriages? Is he faking marriages? Are there real wives somewhere out there in the nether?
Well, and what's even the point of this? Like, what is he just... I'm trying to think of, like, the motivation behind this man's decisions, right? Like, is he attached to the feeling that he gets when he's with a partner that thinks they're going to get married? Like, is that the level of intimacy that he requires to feel satisfied? Is that why he does this? Because this seems like so dangerous and problematic and just bad. Like, this won't work. This is going to end in disaster every time. Maybe he's addicted to the disaster.
Maybe.
Maybe he likes the fallout.
Dear Abby had one more response.
Yeah, let's go.
All right. I think your fiance has a lot of explaining to do. Start the discussion with, I am not your quote-unquote friend. I am your fiance. Or potentially not your fiance, depending on how things are at this point. And I wouldn't blame you for making this a long engagement, or, as I would prefer it to be, not an engagement at all. It seems like you need to get to know him a lot better, because there's something bigger going on here than just a gaggle of fiancés.
Yeah, to me, there's no world in which you marry this person. Like, this is absurdly off the charts red flags, right?
This is absurd.
I know that some people are attracted to red flags, but I'm hoping there isn't anyone out there who's attracted to this kind of red flag, right?
I mean, he got 3 whole fiancés that we know of. That's the other thing, though. It's like, at this point, what do you even know about this man? Very little, but I'm going to make an assumption that the fiancés don't know about each other, right? Yeah, well, I mean, at least this fiancé didn't know about the other fiancés. Whole sister-wife situation going on up in here. And I love me some sister wives.
This is nuts.
Okay, so what if it's not even that he likes the chaos? What if in his heart he wants to have multiple partners, but he doesn't have the emotional maturity to discuss it with these women? Even if we're gonna make the assumption that he's desiring a more open or polyamorous style relationship, right? You made it very clear to me that polyamory requires consent, so I'm not going to use that word here. No, I'm saying that that's what he wants, right? Maybe he wants that, and it is operating on the assumption that he can't have that, and so he's lying to people to try to create the thing he wants. Even if we make that assumption, this is still... He has to know it's not going to work, right? He has to know that this will not happen. I mean... Eventually, they will know. Eventually, right? At least one of them knew. Because we don't even know if she found out about the other fiancés and then let them know that, or if she's keeping that information to her sweet self. Yeah, we don't know that. But we don't know anything. Yeah, there's no excuse for this. There's no way to justify this behavior. Even if he wants multiple relationships, there are ethical and honest ways to have that. Yes. You know? But probably not with at least this woman. No, maybe it sounds like no. Yeah, not with this one. But probably not with any of the 3 that he is with, because assuming they don't know about each other, chances are they're not into that. Well, also, even if they were into that, that's probably not the healthiest way to start any relationship, polyamorous or otherwise.
You mean based on lies?
Yeah, based on lies.
Yeah, that's a bad way to start any relationship. I agree.
I read it and my heart sank. I was all like, I could have been one of them. It's like you have to question the person that you're with, because obviously she felt like she knew him and loved him well enough to be like, sure, I'll sign a legally binding contract with you for probably life. That's the goal, at least, for most people when they get married.
Yeah, this is absurd. This guy must have no social media.
I mean, or he has a bunch of separate ones for each significant other.
Yeah,
and he has them all blocked.
But that looks suspicious because do you have no friends and family on your social media then?
Are there friends? There could be a whole support network out there supporting him and his bad behavior, because that happens all the time. People support trash men all the time.
I mean, I'm not going to counter that because I know you're right, but that's beyond support, right? I mean, like, I can get maybe a friend or two being like, yeah, I don't care that you're cheating on your partners and I'll cover for you, right? But your family? Is your family okay with this?
Okay. Josh Duggar.
I don't know who that is.
You don't know Josh Duggar?
Mm-mm.
Oh my god. Okay, so have you ever heard of the show 19 Kids and Counting?
That sounds familiar, but I don't think I've watched it.
It was super big when we were like in middle school, okay? So the premise of the show is that there's this couple, they're part of the LDS church, part of the Quiverful movement. They have 19 kids. All of their kids' names start with J. So there's Josh, Joanne, Joy, Jess, Jessica, Jedediah, just the whole, like every J name, Josie.
Okay.
Their oldest son, Josh Duggar. I can't use the full terminology because we're gonna get this whole episodes are gonna be blocked everywhere.
Sure.
But he diddled his little kid sisters growing up. His parents hid it to the point where the statute of limitations passed up, so he couldn't be prosecuted for it. And so they kept that private for a while. And then when he did grow up and he get married, he cheated on his wife publicly several times. And he has recently been arrested for child porn. Yeah, and the whole family has been covering for him and hiding his misdeeds for years at the expense of everybody.
That's awful.
Yes, it's
disgusting.
It's been big news for the last year because the trial's been going on and the trial has been a media circus.
Wow, I have not heard anything about it. I'm surprised. That seems like the kind of thing I would have just picked up wind about. So, hold on. You mentioned cheated on publicly.
Yeah, he
What does that mean publicly? Like he was they were banging in public, or like it was just well known?
So have you ever heard of the website Ashley Madison?
Yes.
Yes. When there was the big media leak, he had been caught for hooking up with 7 different women.
Okay.
And there's also an R allegation with a prostitute that he hooked up with. Yes, the hard R.
Okay.
So yeah, it's been really public, and his wife is really deep in this cult, and she's all like, it's not his fault, I just wasn't pleasing him as a wife, I was going against God, and he is forgiven in the eyes of the Lord. And the whole family, he has done the most atrocious stuff, and his family has done everything to cover and to hide from him. So yes, I believe that families will cover for trash men to ungodly extents.
Yeah, see that's the kind of thing I just can't.
Right? It's awful. It's how in the world are you going to act like this is okay? How are you going to behave like this behavior is okay?
Yeah, it's just so clearly not.
They do. They've hidden court documents. They've lied to police officers to cover for him. They've tried to frame a family friend.
Oh my god.
And this family friend was in jail at the time, so it couldn't be pinned on him. Oh my god, if this man wasn't in prison for petty theft, he could be on the rap sheet for one of the worst crimes. Oh, and it's not even just regular CP. It is, the police detective who did it said this is the worst stuff he's ever seen because they were snuff films.
Oh, no.
Yes! Like, it is cartoonishly evil. And they covered for him. So this one, like, random dude having a couple different social media accounts so he can play around with a couple of different girls, I'd totally buy it. Like, that ain't that big of a deal compared to what some people will do for family.
I guess you bring up a valid point. There is no limit to how awful people can be, and so we should not assume.
Yeah, and how awful people will be to protect people who are so awful that they're cartoonishly evil. Cartoon villains.
I have trouble calling some of these people cartoonishly evil because I don't watch any cartoons where people are this evil, but I get what you're saying.
You know what? You're right. You're right. No cartoon villain would do what Josh Duggar has done. Rot in jail, motherfucker.
Yeah,
I hope they throw him
everything he deserves.
I hope they throw him in Gen Pop. I hope they throw him in Gen Pop and they'd whisper to all the other convicts who are in there for money laundering, because that's what most people are in jail for, and petty crime, and they tell him all what he did. And just let prison justice do its thing.
I mean, I'm not generally a fan of that kind of violence, but there are some exceptions.
I am, especially in this case.
Yeah.
But I'm a bad person. I'm just not that bad. Yeah.
Wow.
But he's a godly man.
I don't
Yep.
think that means anything in this context.
Nope.
But, yeah.
Well, this took a turn.
Yeah, back to our original person. Get out
Just run.
of this relationship.
You could
Get
end
away
up with
from
a
this
Josh
person.
Duggar.
And, normally I'm not a big fan of, like, getting involved in other people's business.
Mm-hmm.
But I would also say, warn the other fiancés if you haven't done so already. Because this is not the kind of thing that anyone should be subjected to.
Exactly. Yeah. Listen to Ryan here. Run.
Yeah. Run.
Okay. Well, you guys, we'll be back next week with Ryan, who has something good, I hope. Something less disturbing, because this got disturbing.
Yeah, this one, my next one's a little more drama.
Oh, I love drama. Give me the tea. We'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Goodbye. All right, well, I'm Ryan, and you can find me on Twitter and Instagram under Build Right Roll, where I post about my professional Dungeon Master experiences. You can check out the links in the description if you're interested in hiring a professional DM or looking to level up your own DM skills.
And you can find me, V, at Cringe Queen at Instagram and Twitter, or check me out on YouTube as the Queen of Cringe, and be embarrassed with me.
All right, well, thanks for listening and cringing along with us.
And we'll catch you next time with more awesome cringe content.
I'm hypocritical, but at least I know we could be beautiful or maybe terrible. Only one way to know. Only one way to know.
Hello, I am Patrick,
I'm Andrew. And I'm Christian.
And I'm Allie.
and we are Rad Theater, a podcast where a bunch of friends play role-playing games and share a single brain cell, and the GM doesn't always have it. Oh, and it's theater spelled the correct way, Theatre.